This is TWiT.
All right, time for that brown liquor pick of the week.
Speaking of the MVP Summit, as is common for the MVP Summit, I received a number of bottles of whiskey. One of them you experienced last week with Jeff the Creed. Here's one of the other ones. This is from Australia. Ooh. So Chris Goosen, who's an MVP and is a big fan of the show and the whole whiskey thing. Last year, he brought me the bottle of Dark Harmony number 3 from Tasmania.
Yeah.
It's from Australia. And so he sweats a lot about what whiskey to bring. So a few things we can notice on it's pretty straightforward labeling. It's a 500 ml bottle. This seems to be a standard practice now in Australia because the whiskey is quite expensive. So they're just making smaller bottles so you don't have as big a sticker shock. You just get less. Lucky you. And we met up at the Aloft bar and had a long conversation, talked through this stuff and had a good time together. Now, what is Corowa? Well, Corowa is a small town in New South Wales. It's about 600 kilometers, 380 miles west of Sydney. So inland, away from the water. It is on the north side of the Murray River. And you've probably not heard of the Murray River, but it's the largest river system in all of Australia. In a country that's remarkably deserty, this southeast corner is where the water is. And so the Murray River runs about 1,500 miles, 2,500 kilometers, starting in an area they call the Australian Alps, which is very aspirational, down in the southeast corner. And the river itself then runs northwest across an area they call the Murray-Darling Basin, draining through Lake Alexandrina, and then ultimately into Long Bay, into the ocean, not far from Adelaide. So you're starting out, way in the southeast corner, south of Sydney, and then going all the way as far as almost to Adelaide. So it's a huge system. And most of that river defines the border between New South Wales and Victoria, the two provinces in the southeast corner there. Now, Aboriginal people have been there literally for millennia. This is the traditional lands of the Bangarang and the Wiradjuru peoples. And in fact, the word in Wiradjuru for a rocky river crossing is Corowa, which is what's there. So the Europeans show up in the 1840s. The first town built in that area was on the south side of the river called Wangagana. And then eventually there was a bridge built across and they started building on the north side. That became Corowa. It's a major grain growing region. So by the 1870s, there's all kinds of grain. And the Murray River is quite navigable. So they're using that to move product out. It's your highway when it's the 1800s. And so around 1920, a large flour mill was built in Corowa by the Roller Flour Milling Company. And so even though it's a relatively small town, it became this hub of business activity going via the river. In 1893, there was the Corowa Conference, which, while not the definitive meeting, was one of the anchor points for the creation of the Commonwealth of Australia in 1901. So those sort of claim to fame of a relatively small rural town. The mill was built in the 1870s, but it burned down in 1920, and then they built a bigger one. And again, it's 1920, so they have their own heating and power system, its own boiler, 14 sets of rollers, a bunch of grain silos, massive thing. And again, all this business was grain being processed at the mill and then flour shipped down the Murray River to be exported. The mill shuts down in the 1970s. And a bunch of different proposals go by. Ultimately, the council buys the derelict mill in 2001, initially for a waterworks project that doesn't happen. In 2009, it gets sold to a father and son team, Neil and Dean Druce. They buy it for $1. This is all over their website. They get it for $1 with the rule that they would restore it. It became a heritage site in 1999. So there's a bunch of restrictions on this. Now, the Druces are locals to the interior area. They actually operate this huge factory called the Junee Licorice and Chocolate Factory in a town called Junee. It's about 200 kilometers, about 2 hours drive north of Corowa. And the Druces have been farming the area. Their first farm was in 1918. So they've been around there a long time. The grandfather, Pappy Drew, was one of the first organic farmers in the area in the 1960s. So Neil Druce had, this is the son, or now considered the father, purchased and restored a 1930s flour mill in Junee to make into a chocolate factory. Well, it's initially a licorice factory because licorice actually uses grain and they're grain growers, and then also got into the business of chocolate. So
Australian licorice is the best licorice. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, the whole part of the restoration is to keep the original character building and so forth. And so they were basically repeating their success down in Corowa by getting the old flour mill and doing a restoration, keeping the character. So the son Dean moves to Corowa, starts staffing up with local people while the renovation's ongoing. Most of his staff is under the age of 30. And since they've already done this up in Juni, they know the retail side. They open a cafe, open a store. They're selling chocolate and licorice and so forth. Lots of community engagement, sponsoring events, that kind of thing. As they decide they're going to try whiskey. Again, another thing you can do with grain, and they grow a lot of barley in the area. So they're all in on for that, but they don't have a background in whiskey. So they hire in essentially. Although all the research I've done, they don't hire experienced people really. What they do is hire young people from the area who want to learn. And so they hire a fellow named Tyler Spencer, who's ready for a career change and goes into the brewing side, working with local barley and how to get maltings done and so forth. And they hire a guy named Bo Schillig to get educated in doing the distilling. They call him the dreaded distiller because he happens to have dreadlocks. And I don't think he made whiskey before he got into this job. So, and they build out a local distillery, craft scale, so not too large, but stainless steel washback, standard yeast strains. The environment is, of course, Australia, so it's still very hot and with very mild winters. So they have an overaging problem, without a doubt. They get stills made locally by Burns Welding and Fabrication, very fancy name, but out of Griffith, North South Wales, so not too far away. And they use existing barrels. So mostly wine barrels, because again, that's the growing area. West of there is an area called Barossa. And so they're using lots of wine and port barrels from that part of the world, but they do acquire a certain number of ex-bourbon barrels for doing aging. And the rack warehouse is in the flour mill. The flour mill is massive. So even with the cafe and the tour areas and all of those sorts of things and the distillery, still plenty of places to store whiskey as well. So the restoration starts in 2009. They don't start actually doing distillation until 2018. And now they're starting to age up. So their core, they do a lot of small batch releases, all these 500 ml bottles. Their core range is repeatedly made. They've got 5 different types they call barrel house peated. They do a few different peated whiskeys, but of course that barley comes from Scotland because you only get the peat flavor right if you use Scottish peat and Scottish barley. So it's easier to do it that way. But wherever it's non-peated, like their Bosque Verde, that's family farm barley. And then they have various different barrels, aged in port cask, aged in Australian muscat casks, that sort of thing. And then there's single barrel editions, and that is what Chris brought me. So this is called the Peated Single Barrel American Oak Tawny. So it's not not aged in an American barrel, actually. This is a barrel from a winery called Old Redemption, and they make tawny ports. So the barrel is American oak that they imported, but they actually aged it from Old Redemption, which is in the Barossa. And it was a huge barrel. It was a 300-liter barrel. That's very big. And I don't know exactly how much time they put into that, but there's only 530 bottles. It's a single barrel. They literally called the barrel 512. So 530 barrels. No, you cannot buy them. They're all gone. They're in collectors now. When it was available, they were 195 Australian dollars. So about 150 US. It's 60.6%. So for an afternoon drink, this is going to be a poke in the eye. And you'll notice I just opened the bottle. I know nothing, right? I'm just going to taste this cold. Chris Goosen has never steered me wrong. So I don't smell peat. Good. I do smell alcohol. There's no doubt there's 60% in there. Oh, I taste the peat for sure. Yeah. Yeah, this definitely got that peaty kind of, it's not really powerful. This is no Octomore or anything like that. Boy, it went down nice. My goodness gracious. Very warming. Like that sort of coffee cake rich. Wow, that's amazing. Just a sort of big, rich, like my mouth is literally watering to drink more of that.
It unfortunately doesn't look like you can.
You can't order it. It's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
There are other single barrel editions out there, so you could do that. 195 Australian dollars, and it's a 500 ml bottle.
Wow.
So, you're getting less, but this is typical of Australian, and largely this stuff is not exported. You have to get this in Australia. It was brought to me from Australia.
Nice.
But it's a stunner.
Is it typical to have a peated whiskey from Australia?
Yeah, no, it's unusual. And again, that is Scottish barley. Whenever it's peated, they are ordering it from Scotland, already peated to specification. Which is normal. That's the same thing the Japanese do.
Pre-peated.
Okay,
pre-peated.
Well, as when we did the Scottish whiskey series, I talked about in the modern barley today, you don't do your own maltings, right? Okay. That's a very unusual thing. In fact, and Corowa doesn't either. They have a brewery in town. The brewery does the maltings and sends them over the grist. So already ground and good to go for them to go directly into the wash.
We need a Cristalino for peated whiskeys where it removes the peat.
Yeah.
De-peated. You got pre-peated and de-peated.
Yes, exactly.
There's plenty of non-peated versions from Corowa. It's unusual to have a peat because it is imported grain. So that does cost more. And it kind of goes against their style. When you talk about their most popular whiskeys, it's local grain aged in a local barrel. That's what they're about. This is the craftiest of craft whiskeys for this part of the world. For as much as these guys are clearly pros, like they've done this playbook before, they know how to do development in rural Australia, which I think is super cool. This is a town of 5,000 people.
They do it up too, man. They have. Oh no, it's a destination. Right.
Yeah.
And if you look at the videos and things of the inside of the building, they have very much left. This is a 1920s flour mill vibe. The wood has not been refinished. It's very open air and structural. They have kept the sense of the heritage of that place. And you look at the walls. The walls don't need to look like that in that barrel room.
Yeah.
They just left it alone.
They left them.
It's part of the aesthetic of the place, right?
That's really cool. Yeah.
And, most whiskey makers make whiskey and then become a destination. These guys knew how to do the destination mostly. They came into whiskey later. But I love that they got local people trained up to follow good patterns, to do the thing.
Isn't that great?
And they're making good whiskey from it.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah. It's very cool. It's backwards to the normal approach.
Yeah.
And yet it's got a real honesty to it. You can't not take these guys seriously. They're doing a cool thing. A young group of people making really interesting whiskey.
And it's good. That's really
it's fantastic. And I'm not a big peated whiskey guy.
There's your dreadlock whiskey.
That's him. Yeah, that's Bo. That's the dreaded distiller right there.
The dreaded distiller.
Yeah. They're all Australian football players. These guys.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, Aussie rules
not
is the
pros.
best.
Yeah.
No, it does. Yeah. That is
they're
the
not
best
pros. They're
sport
not damaged
ever.
enough for that. That's a lot of injury.
That's crazy game.
Yeah, but they were all friends, and they're all, like I said, young people. So it's young people with a playbook from dad on how to do this, just like what they're doing up north from them. And they've really kicked the town, right? Just done a huge thing and made some really, really interesting whiskey.
Nice. Really cool. Hey,
I was delighted.
It's a travel log every time you do this. I love it.
Chris Goosen scores again, man. These guys 2 for 2. He got me totally enamored of Tasmanian whiskey. There's no repeat to this. Corowa is a unique thing, but I've never wanted to spend time in rural Australia more than this now.
Oh, boy.
In there and try to check some of this stuff out. So absolutely delight.
How cool.
The post of this, I got to tell you, I feel like I've now smoked a cigar. I'm all kind of smoky and raw.
That's why Paul and I know
this is not going to. This is not Jeff the Creed. My Jeff the Creed is almost half gone, right, from last week.
Because you can sip and sip and sip. Yeah.
This is going to be deployed when I'm smoking briskets this summer.
There you go.
That's when this is going to come out. When this air is full of hickory smoke, because I've been running a batch of brisket. I'm going to be sitting with my friends because it takes hours and hours. This is what you would sip because you smoke on the inside while you got smoke on the outside.
I love it.
Yeah,
very good. Thank you, Richard Campbell. Richard's whiskey segments are collated on a YouTube channel. You can find it if you go to somethingweirdfrommycloset.com. There are more than 100 of them there. It is a tour of the world and adult spirits, and it is really awesome. And we will eventually add this one. Kevin slowly is adding everything as they go.
He's had a burst of action there, so it's we're getting closer.
I love it. Thank you, Kevin. We appreciate it. Kevin King, our editor and producer for the show. Richard's also at runnasradio.com. That's where you'll find his podcast, .NET Rocks, and Run As Radio. And he joins us right here every Wednesday, along with Paul Thurrott from Thurrott.com. Leanpub.com is where you'll find his books. And actually, if you join, become a premium member at Thurrott.com, you'll get all the books as part of the membership, which is a great deal. So save your money and join the website, Thurrott.com.